Okay, in theory, we're on the YouTubes.
Alrighty.
Let's get started.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, netizens, people of the internet. I got one tweet telling me that I shouldn't use gentlemen and ladies. Humans, you are listening to episode 349 of Geeks in Space. I am your host, Rob Commander Taco Malda. Before we get started, I just wanted to follow up on our note last week about the missing episodes. We are still looking. They're not online. Nobody's exactly sure what happened, so we're gonna check. They might be like on a zip drive.
Yeah, I think Jeff Bates has them somewhere. So
they're on a backup somewhere. But let's go around the horn and see who the geeks are in orbit today.
This is Nate.
Just Nate.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Chris DeBona. Hi, everybody.
Greetings, everybody. So the one I wanted to start with is, this is super dorky and nerdy, but I found a video of some dude at like GDC going over the math behind the original Wolfenstein 3D.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like this is a 286, so you don't have a 3D card, and you can't do floating point math. And it seems to me that if you're going to be making a video game, those are several of the things that one might like to have. And it's actually really neat. It's like a good discussion of like the trig that you needed and like the shortcuts that they did in order to actually make this thing render at a reasonable frame rate on a 286. There's a lot of really weird stuff in there. Like at runtime, he generated a function on the fly for every possible height of a texture in the distance. Because there only is going to be so many, because it's a 320 by 240 screen. So you at most have to generate 240 of that function. And so then that can be like super optimized. It's really worth watching if you want to feel dumb about math. But also if you want to feel like, holy cow, like Carmack was like the most clever human being in the universe.
Yeah, he knew how to bang his head against a chip, you know? It's like, it's kind of amazing, like watching the little individual assembly modules that he wrote inside the various iterations of Quake and Doom and stuff. It's like it's a little alien sometimes.
Right, there are regular people, and then there are those guys.
Yeah,
those guys are the ones that kind of make me mad.
Well, they shouldn't make you mad. I mean, you know, you should ask yourself when you've been in that space, and
well, we also, I guess, we all benefit from their fine work.
Yeah. When we're shooting Nazis. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much good work that came out of, Wolfenstein and that to help the people across the world.
How do you localize that into Germany?
Well, they had an alternative version for German audiences that didn't have swastikas.
Castle America?
No, there was still Castle Wolfenstein. It was still clearly Nazis, but they weren't allowed to use swastikas.
Yeah,
and
they got some weird rules and laws about those kind of things.
Yeah,
You think it's hard? People are complaining about the Nancy Pelosi edited video that's been floating around Facebook lately. Right. Edited to make her look drunk, and I mean, people are like complaining like they should take that down. Like, how do you take that down? Write me a rule that says this you can take down, but it's not parody or satire. I mean, how do you do that? It's a really hard problem.
Yeah, and maybe they should have just put swastikas all over it, and then it wouldn't be shown in Germany.
Mm-hmm. Right,
that's an answer. Or yeah,
that at least solves some of the problem, right? Like 137th of the problem.
Yeah, C-SPAN should like do a copyright claim against it or something.
So I've got I found another one. There was a story up. I think it was on ours. It was old web browsers.
I saw that one.
You guys' first web browser?
Mosaic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess Mosaic. Yeah.
Because this one had a bunch of things like pre-Mosaic.
I clicked on that article expecting that I would know most of the early web browsers, and then there were web browsers I had never even conceived of. They were talking about some truly obscure ones like Viola dub. Like it was like, oh, okay, yep, someone made a web browser there.
It was
there's like
they discussed a little bit of the parentage of Netscape, and I think everybody kind of knows Netscape, came from Mosaic, but they actually talked a little bit about where bits of Mosaic came from. So it's really interesting. I mean, you think about that
and like this one was which one was the first to handle fonts?
Right. And they have notes from like Tim Berners-Lee, and he's like, there's one, I think it was something to the effect of, you can search on this page. Like you loaded a page and you can search for a word. Can you imagine?
Control F, the first Control F, like,
super epic. The other one that I put up today, and I don't know, I said this earlier in chat, but there's a good one in defense of Fahrenheit. And the argument, I mean, that you can make a very easy mathematical argument for why metric is always better, and you can be all pompous and arrogant about that, and you can diss on Americans, say we're stupid, whatever. But this article is actually the in defense of Fahrenheit for the measuring of human comfort. Fahrenheit is actually superior to Celsius because basically everywhere humans generally live, most of the time, it's between 0 and 100, which is really nice and easy for you to keep your brain straight. Like, I don't know, if I go outside and it is 58 degrees Celsius, I'm in a lot of problem. So I don't know. Does anybody want to raise the case that this is all foolhardy?
So my friend Dan Bentley, he has this great speech about why metric is really just bullshit because we still have non-metric time. And so you end up doing bad math anyway. So just embrace it, jerks. And it's a funny talk. So I'll give him credit for that.
I would like to move to metric time where, you have exactly 4 weeks every month.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, that'd be 10 weeks every.
Or 10 weeks.
10 months.
10 days per week and then 10 hours per day. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to come up with something.
There's like a Mayan system where we all end up with like a party week at the end of the year?
Yeah, but they all died in 2012. So,
I know.
Right?
It seems like they had a lot of fun. Have you seen those carvings?
Well, I mean, the thing where they had the skull for the soccer ball, I'm like, that's a bit much. That's a little too much of a party.
You think that, but you just need to imagine it being your worst enemy, and then it becomes extremely pleasurable.
Well, I mean, and also, like, wouldn't a soccer ball made from a skull like sort of bounce funny?
Well, their out of bounds were different than ours.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so, penalty kicks were actually the other guy's head.
So the head of your enemy wasn't necessarily a bad thing to use.
It also depends on head freshness. So the first week is the best week for a head soccer ball. Like once you get past that, yeah, you lose a lot of the cranial fluid, which really gives it its springiness.
Yeah.
Once you learn how to put the proper English on the head.
Oh, were they English heads, or
bend it like Beckham,
Yeah. Well, I'd imagine they were the Spanish invaders' heads were like the best heads. I don't know if the timing really aligns, but yeah.
So 5 seconds after we published last week's episode, they dropped the Picard TV show trailer,
which was very not good in my opinion. I thought it was just like, oh look, here's an old guy running around his grapevines. There was no spaceships.
What was with the vineyard thing?
I think so here's the thing. Outlander and Game of Thrones and like everybody, they do a series of wines that go along with the show, and they make a ton of money from it, right? So I think this is them just setting up like the vineyard money for Picard. I'm just saying. So I can tell you which vineyard does this for Hollywood. It's pretty good wine.
It's all about merchandising, and
it's all about merch.
Yeah, I'm afraid they're going to come up with a really cheap wine, like a Borg wine, in the MD.
And it has all the grapes,
It's just grain alcohol and grape Kool-Aid.
The problem with that vineyard is that it's those GMO seeds that like expand really, really rapidly, and it's been assimilating all the neighboring vineyards. And like people around, the pesticides don't work. They keep adjusting the frequency on their fertilizers and on their pesticides. And
they're going to modulate their pesticides.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there'll be a crossover episode where they put Borg wine in Picard bottles because he gets taken.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure.
His wine must be assimilated. You know?
I'm still hoping that the show will be worth watching, but that trailer,
I doesn't want it to be good. I want it to be good, and then they gave us that trailer, which I'm like, huh? You know, I mean, yeah. I don't want to be disappointed.
Have you guys? So I don't know if you guys have heard of this thing called Chernobyl.
Mhm.
I don't want to spoil it.
Hey, yeah, no spoilers.
Right. I watched the first episode of the show, and I think those people are not going to have a good time.
No, I mean,
Spoiler alert.
I watched that Chernobyl Diaries documentary, and man, the cannibals there are out of control. You know, it seems like that would be the first thing you wrap up.
I'm not sure that we're watching the same show. I don't remember cannibals in Chernobyl. I know we're watching Chernobyl, not Chernobyl Diaries.
I got you. That's a different thing, I guess.
Does yours have like otherkin vampires?
No, they're just kids who came to
again.
Chernobyl
I don't want to spoil
as you would, you know.
You tread lightly.
No, I have not seen the new series Chernobyl yet.
Yeah,
it's intense, man.
Just that old crappy movie. And I read a study on the effect of the runoff on the catfish that lived in the cooling ponds and the neighboring rivers.
Wow.
Are they like super catfish now?
Like 3 hours?
No, unfortunately, none of them like go and gain like extraordinary balance and sonar to fight evil in Hell's Kitchen or anything like that. They just They just, you know, get lesions and grow 30% smaller than normal catfish. So,
yummy.
I was a little disappointed.
Like a good lesion in your fish. You know?
I got sold a bum rap on what radiation does to you. I tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seriously.
I was misled and let down.
Well, you might remember we discussed this in I think it was episode 307 or 320 when Into the Spider-Verse came out, and we're like, this is what radiation does, you know, canonically, you know, and that was a great movie. So, you know,
there's a number of really cool YouTube clips about people really getting nerdy about how they did the animation of it. Spider-Verse.
So good.
That's crazy, man. Like, have you seen they're showing up on the YouTube all the time. It's like actual 3D artists look at good and bad special effects. Have you seen these?
Mm-hmm.
They're really cool. They've got they took it. The last one was all Marvel movies, and they were like taking like scenes from Black Panther and telling you why shots don't work. And it's really cool to get the vocabulary, like, because your brain sees it and you're like, that shot looked great, that shot looked terrible. And they're talking about why, and they're talking about like there was a shot with Tony Stark and Iron Man mask sliding down his front of his face, and they were talking about how they had to the mask has to cast a shadow across his face. And when you do that, you have to kill the highlights from the reflectivity on your skin. And that's like a detail that not everybody gets. Then there's another one where they were showing an image from Black Panther, and they were talking about how you can do motion blur one of two ways. You can basically do it in post-production and like so if you do that, you know, you have your motion blur and your object moves in front of the screen, the smears will be straight. But in reality, there's a curve to all that motion. It's not actually linear. So the curve that you see, the motion blur would actually be curved. To do that, you actually have to render individual frames, and it's computationally orders of magnitude more expensive. Your brain sees this stuff, but you don't. I never had the vocabulary for why a lot of that stuff looks fake.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, and this doesn't even go into the issue of where were they during the Battle of New York, but still, yes.
That's a good question. Well, okay. The bigger problem with that the whole thing was that at the end of Infinity War, the snap occurs, and wherever you are, apparently you evaporate its daytime.
Yeah.
Which only goes to confirm that Marvel is flat earthers.
Yeah, it's true.
Which explains the right-wing agenda that they've been pushing for all 22 of those movies.
There's no climate change. We're going to solve climate change with 5 years of half population. Yeah, so I'm not sure it really aligns with the right wing, but okay, you know, sure.
I mean,
sure.
It doesn't align with normal.
Okay, the episode of the science fiction, sorry, the special effects guys reviewing science fiction movies in Endgame, and again, no spoilers, but you know how he had that enormous beard, Thor did, right, and crazy hair, and yet when he put on the time travel suit and it goes pre-unk, it's like I kept on being like, dude, your hair, it's gonna get cut off, it's gonna get caught in the mechanism. Like, how do they exactly deal with that? And they just sort of like pretend it's not a problem. It's like, and I'm like, that was really lazy.
Yeah, they did not have proper beard consultants for that.
They didn't, I felt it was kind of offensive to the bearded among us. And I don't have a huge beard, but like, poor Rob Sandenpuss
with a reasonably sized beard. I can't tell you how many times I've got it caught in things you wouldn't think of.
Right? Doors, car doors,
automatic can openers,
logs.
Wait, what?
Neighbor's dog.
The microphone right now. Ow,
Did you know that those time travel suits, that's a spoiler, those time travel suits that they're wearing in that scene are all CG. They did not make those suits. They literally just were like, all right, walk. And then later on, we'll figure out suits.
They didn't really travel back in time?
Wait, what? Dude, spoilers.
I already said time travel suit. What do you think you did? Give them all?
No. But Samson Post is saying that they didn't go back in time, and you're saying they did go back in time, and I'm having a hard time with my worldview now, and it's rough.
Yeah, do they have a series?
The directors and the writers have competing views with how time travel works in the MCU. And so you can read interviews with each of them where they both lay out how they think it works, and they are not compatible, and it's kind of awesome.
That's hilarious.
What we really need is a YouTube channel where time travelers, critique time travel in movies.
Maybe that's what this is.
Whoa.
We already are burning enough fuel keeping in orbit. I don't know if we have enough energy to actually power the flux capacitor or time traveling TARDIS or phone booth required, or the hot tub time machine.
No. So I've always been of the opinion, if we do have time like machines, they would have to have all the energy you would need to rotate every atom in the universe back to its state at that point in time. And that's more energy than, of course, you have. So I don't know.
But it is within the number of particles in the universe. So it's not
that's right.
More than.
Hey, good call back to 348, Nate.
Yeah,
Nicely done.
As far as problems to solve, it's tractable.
Yeah. What episode did we first bring up the atoms of the universe?
That goes back, man. We've been covering that since like I don't know, episode like 130 or something.
Yeah, maybe even earlier. I mean, I remember talking about matter in like episode really.
It was the Big Bang episode, I think. Yeah.
That's right.
Oh,
What else do we got on the agenda this week, boys?
Well, let's take a look. Just so you know, I don't think it's streaming properly, but it is recording, so I can upload this episode. And I had the intro card running for like 3 minutes longer than I should have. But, I'm not perfect, but at least I can promise you this will go up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at least it won't get lost.
Unlike Chemos.
Yeah, if that guy would just show up and defend himself. I bet he's got all the missing episodes sitting on like a stack of SCSI drives, like 2 feet tall.
Yeah, like the people in the ultra high resolution telescope. Every picture they've got those hard drives. That's actually where the episodes are. So,
do you guys want to talk about Assange?
Oh yeah, is he arrested? Is he in the United States yet?
I don't think he's here yet.
Yeah.
Or will be.
I think he's still arrested in the United Kingdom, right?
They officially
he's got like 8 people that want him in trouble.
Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble, it seems. How do you feel about that, gentlemen?
It's a mixed bag for sure, right?
Yeah.
It's what happens when you mess with the Clintons.
Right.
Well, I sort of thought like he was treating his cat badly, I guess, at the embassy, and I'm like, dude, really?
Yeah, he really became like, as the story goes on, like he never started off as a protagonist that you would want to root for.
Right.
He was always in the gray area, and the story just kept getting more and more depressing. It's like, oh,
yeah.
and
the skateboarding in Wearing Out Your Welcome by skateboarding in the embassy seems like it would be,
Right?
Just don't skateboard. Cut that stuff out. You've got a nice cushy gig here.
Yeah.
Look, I'm sorry. I won't skateboard in your house anymore. Can I come again? Can I visit it?
Really, his life just changed to more of a cautionary tale about why you should always be a good guest.
Yeah, it was like I think his life became like a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where it's like, God, is he still here? What is he? Is he skateboarding in the hallway? Why is he skateboarding in the hallway?
He's got like a 7-minute monologue on the Oreos or the Cheerios and the 2% versus 0.5% milk.
Why am I listening to him talk about Cheerios? This is ridiculous. Just get out of my embassy. It's
Just think about the hours of unpicked up hints that must have been dropped. Well, we got to go and get more ink for the printer. Julian, it's been great, but
boy, that litter box is getting a little nasty.
Yeah,
just saying. Here's some fresh litter.
Skateboard sure is scuffing up the holes. It'd be great if maybe you could go and pick up some new tires, maybe. New wheels.
I just looked around the corner and there's no cops around right now, so it might be a good time for you to take a little walk. I don't know.
Like it's a straight shot. If you look down the street, I can see the Argentinian embassy right there. You can make it before they get you.
There's a rope ladder on your balcony. I'm just saying it's there in case you want to use it.
You got a zip line straight to Ecuador.
Yeah, if that guy had done like the dishes at least every now and again, I don't know.
At least try. Some terrible roommates over the years.
Sure.
We've also lived in some pits. I do remember for bad roommates. I remember Dave sitting on his couch laughing at a rat. And I walked into the living room, and Dave was just sitting on his couch, laughing at the rat that was sitting in the middle of the room, looking at him.
Now,
like, oh, we need to move now.
To be fair, that rat was hilarious. So, what are you gonna do?
It was not Julian Assange level hilarious.
Yeah, in my head, there's like a Julian Assange as the roommate, and then there's Snowden, and I sort of think Snowden would be kind of all right. Like Ecuador would be like, no, stay longer.
I feel like he would be more like Kurt.
Yeah,
Kurt the Pope, right? He'd clean.
Quiet guy, does some extra chores to let you know he appreciates it.
Right.
I agree. I think that'd be Snowden. Sticks to himself, mostly on his computer, talks when you want to talk to him, but
They had there was a good Onion headline which for him, which was nation's media demands new picture of Julian Assange, or sorry, of Snowden, because it's like the same picture of him that they took in that hotel room like 5 years ago, and every media outlet has used that same picture for like 5 years. It's like that super washed out, like weirdly lit photo that you've seen a million times.
Yeah, I saw Snowden give a talk via one of those robots, the beam robots,
Oh yeah.
And so whenever I think of Snowden, I think Snowden bot, like going around. So
now that he's gone, I wonder now who they're going to put in his room. They should really have some sort of reality TV show.
They probably have to fumigate,
Where they, get someone on the run from a government, and they can eat to have his room.
I don't know. I think they probably are trying to give away the couch on the street corner,
Any
couch.
Having though has the money to get better accommodations, so you got to go freak show for that space.
It's not the accommodations. It's the immunity. It's the
Vanilla Ice.
Wait, what?
Vanilla Ice, I don't think has any outstanding Interpol warrants. So.
Yeah, but how can you be sure, really?
I mean, he isn't really wanted at a lot of state fairs, to be honest, let alone internationally.
Bowie really put the screws on him with, Thailand's copyright laws and the Queen Bowie sample. So
things got different for poor Vanilla.
Yeah.
Did you see the Ice Ice Baby Game of Thrones thing that someone did. I pasted it in the channel.
That's why I thought of Vanilla
It's
Ice.
so good. It's so good. It's like somebody who loves Game of Thrones put that together, you know? I mean,
All
how
right.
exhausting.
I'll put that up on the subreddit or in the description field so others can partake of the glory that is Vanilla Ice Game of Thrones, which actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the wall, you know?
I was thinking about vanilla.
Oh, well, okay. How does... No.
Made more sense than ice. I don't know.
Vanilla really, you know, it figured very heavily in
Right.
the Game of
It is
Thrones.
the flavor that ties together all of Westeros.
The North, quite frankly, is lacking a little bit in diversity, to tell you the truth. So
That's
where
true.
Vanilla comes in.
What, they've got the dead and the undead and the alive. They've got all three diversity.
Right, but even the blue, or
categories.
even the White Walkers have blue eyes, you know. So
Yeah.
I just assumed that they were supposed to be Norse.
Well, yeah, you know, there's all these analogies, like they're Germans in World War II, they're the Norse invasion, the Vikings. You know,
I mean, it's whatever you can write a blog entry about and then get picked up and get retweeted by, and then eventually end up with somebody rewriting your ideas on like a Vice or a BuzzFeed, and then claiming your ideas as theirs.
Yeah, exactly. So we're hitting about 26 minutes in. So
and with that, thanks for listening to episode 349 of Geeks in Space. Thanks to all the geeks who are here this week. Say your farewells.
Farewell.
See you guys.
yeah.
Rob Commander Taco Malda out.
I'm hitting the outro slide this time. There it is. Oh, I hit it twice. Let me do it once. And then stopping the stream and stop.